Welcome back to the garage. In the last episode, we got the custom switch panel labeled. Pretty stoked about that. I think it came out pretty good. Good enough to use it. But in this episode, we're gonna move on for now. Continuing with the wiring, the next logical step, as I can see it, kind of looking at the Buggy, is messing with the radios. So I have here a radio from Rugged Radios and an intercom that I need to figure out how I'm going to mount. Now, I have these brackets attached to it that came with it. So you can see that with some holes there. And not much to the mount that came with this. It was just these little brackets on the side that are just loose right now, but you can obviously kind of position those wherever you want. So it's going to be going in this center console. So the center console panel here is in two parts. The front part that you can't see kind of butts up against this one, and this section here is where the shifter goes. This is where the switch panel will go. That it mounts on this, and then that circle hole there is for a safety cutoff, and that's where the radios are going to go. So I need to figure out how I'm going to make a bracket to go from the brackets on the radios and the intercom to these little holes here on the center console. So I'll have to look at it, ponder a while, stare at it some more, and then figure out exactly what I'm going to end up doing. But, you know, something, I got it upside down, but, you know, it's going to go somewhere in that kind of ballpark. I can't remember which one of these is wider. I guess there. Yeah, this one. This one will go in there. So some way, you know, some bracketry that will, you know, connect to this, and then I'll probably just end up locating some holes around here to attach to the bracket, or attach to the panel rather. And then just to show you what this looks like. This goes in there like that. That's the safety shutoff that I was talking about. So that's what I'm starting with today. Okay, you saw me fiddling around there with cardboard. So whenever I'm doing something like this, that's totally weird. I have to fit things together that, you know, I don't have any dimensions for. I just have to like make it up. I start with cardboard usually. So my plan is to make these little U strips out of I did it out of cardboard just to figure out the dimensions, obviously, but this will be probably steel. There's a bolt pattern on the bottom of this, so I'll capture that bolt pattern, and then there will be another one of these on top that will capture that bolt pattern. Sorry, that bolt pattern like that. I didn't have this out of cardboard, but I'll have a side piece, kind of a flange piece that will come up here like this, and then there will be a break in it right there for a flange that I'll screw into it on either side here. And then where they all meet, you know, I'll just have them all overlap a little bit, and then at the junctions, you know, I'll fit this all up so I can fit it up precisely and get the exact fit that I want, and then I'll tack it all together and then just weld all that together. You know, I'll just make a bolt pattern in the flange sides here, and then drill holes and screw it to the panel, and I'll hold it all to the panel like that. So that's the plan right now. Later, I'm also going to be cutting a hole in here. There's I don't have it handy, but there's a little accessory that comes with this radio equipment that will mount here that has 2 jacks for the actual headsets. All right, it's the next morning. Yesterday, you saw me working on the initial design in cardboard for what I think the bracket's going to work out to be, the bracketry. I spent the tail end of yesterday on my computer in Fusion designing the CAD, transferring the cardboard to computer CAD. I'll show you that here now. Today we're going to work on getting that cut out on the plasma table. All right, that's what the dry run looks like. I'll have to hold that down. The first bracket I'm going to cut is for the radio. I'm trying a little bit faster speed than I normally go, so see if it cuts all the way through. All right, normally I would cut out the other ones, so that's what we have for the first. Normally I'd cut out everything at once, but because this isn't really proven, I don't even know if it's gonna be the right size and fit and everything. I'll just cut one out, get it all bent to shape, and then see if it's even like in the ballpark as far as size is concerned before I cut the other ones out. If you're wondering what this tool is, there's a link in the description to a previous video where I explain it. All right, so here we have the first part. So the first thing I'm checking is the hole pattern. Let's see if the hole pattern lines up, which it does. Obviously this goes that way, but it's easier for me to hold it this way. And conveniently this bracket is on, these are slots, so actually I have quite a bit of, I don't know if you can see that, quite a bit of adjustment this way as it's going to sit in there. Something kind of in this ballpark. It's not centered obviously, but you get the idea. So something of that nature. And then the other one, the other bracket, I have set up to overlap this and then comes up the other way to capture the intercom from the other side because of the way those brackets are. And then I have a third piece also, junctions into this forward and has flanges this way to capture this. So my idea is, put all this together, position it just so, with everything overlapping. The overlapping is all the adjustment that I have to fine tune it. So get it all positioned in there, line everything up, put some tacks, take it all apart, and then weld this whole junction together, and then that should be good. It looks like I'll have to do a little, you'll notice that this needs to be just opened up just a little bit. It's good in the height dimension here, but the width on these sides, so I'll probably just take a little rotary burr to those on either side and just open that up just a tiny bit. Because I think this will be nicer if it's protruding just a little bit rather than being recessed in. I'll have them both protrude just a tiny bit. All right, I had to make some adjustments to this one. The bends that I had here were too tight. I don't really have accurate data, obviously, on that pan brake. I don't have accurate data on the bend radii and getting it precisely lined up and whatnot. So I unbent these, stretched them out a little bit, bent them again so they cleared the bracket. And it's wider than in my model now, but you can see where I'm going with this. I may just continue to use this even with it unbent and bent, but it's kind of work hardened now, so I may remake it, revise the model, and then remake it. But in any event, you can kind of see where I'm going with this. It's enough to sort of mock up now. I got screws on the bottom of this, so I have to carry it over the edge so you can see. But so sandwich that, all that together, and then weld it. These pieces, same deal, just, I can get this precisely, I'll get these two pieces tacked together and then get all this situated on both sides the way I like it, with the right amount of protrusion through the holes, and whatnot, and then weld all this together. But that's why I wanted to make this in separate pieces and then weld it all together so I could adjust all of it to precisely the right relationship between itself. And it's just going to be easier than making it all out of one piece or something. It'd be too hard, it'd be too complicated to bend, made all out of one piece. All right, so this crazy apparatus is where I'm at so far. After mocking this thing up as best as I can, kind of see what I got going here. That's what it looks like on the front side. You can see this side a little better than the other side. It's got all that clamped together. And then now the task is, don't look at it too hard, don't breathe on it. Keep it together the way it is and get some tacks in there. I need to get some tacks on all of that surface there so I can start pulling it apart, and then I'll weld all that joint together. Basically just a bunch of lap joints. I'm sure it should be plenty strong for this. It's just these little radios, you know, not very heavy or anything. Teach you that weirdo position in welding school. Alright, it's all tacked together. So here's my setup right now for starting to weld it. I just have it clamped to the table, and then I'll just start doing this pieces of it at a time. You can see there's my tack work on there. Just enough to hold it together so I could take all the radio stuff out of there, and then now weld up all these joints. I chose to use lap joints for this design for a couple of reasons. One, the strength of it. Lap joints are going to be stronger than butt joints, but the primary reason was really just convenience. Having these lap like this, it's a little easier to get things lined up and positioned in this weird kind of positioning that it needs to adhere to. And also consider the fact that this is going to be hidden from view all the time. So the lap joints aren't as aesthetically pleasing as would be like butt joints, but it would have taken way more time to, figure out the positioning, mark it, trim it, and weld the butt joints together. So I just didn't bother, just because, the lap joints look fine, but you're not going to ever see this thing anyway. It's going to be hidden under the panel. If it was a bracket that would be out more in space, people would see it more often, then you'd probably want to spend the time to make it a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. There it is, all welded up. And the inside's a little trickier getting in here with the torch, but got those welded up too. All right, let's see how it fits. All right, there you have it, finished product. Totally custom made radio bracket. From the side, the only thing left now is, of course, to take it off and paint it. And I prefer the welds on there. I like the welds, but if you wanted to, you could totally grind all that flush and you wouldn't even know that it was welded. So that's it for this one. That's how you make a, that's how I made anyway. Not saying it's the right or wrong design or there's not a better design, but that's how I made custom radio brackets for my buggy. Thanks for watching.